Hello, my name is Volcata, and today we'll be taking a look at Tortuga, A Pirate's Tale, by developer Gaming Minds Studios and published by Calypso. Now this will not be a full playthrough or a tutorial, but rather a first look at the features and gameplay that you can expect to experience if you choose to pick up a copy for yourself. Also, to be transparent, I did receive a free key to review this game, but this is not a paid promotion, and all opinions are completely my own. In Tortuga, will take on the role of a pirate captain as he tries to make a name for himself in the Caribbean islands. We will sink ships to salvage their booty, board and capture vessels to bolster our growing fleet, provide protection for wealthy patrons, and go on quests for governors to build our reputation with nation-states. We will live life free on the open ocean, take what we like, and leave the rest for Davy Jones. But before we can sing shanties about our great success and legendary status, we must first start small, and we do that by clicking New Game. So I'll see you on the other side. So when we start a new game, we are presented with a number of options, starting with, of course, the ability to select a portrait for our pirate, or piratess, as may be appropriate. I think we are just going to go with this old gruffy pirate-looking guy. She looks kind of like he's from the Netherlands, I think. We can set our pirate name. Of course, Volcata is appropriate here. Our flagship's name, which we will set to the Revenge. Now, I know what you're probably saying. The Revenge, how original. Wasn't the Revenge the name of the Dread Pirate Robert's pirate ship in The Princess Bride? Well, yes, it was. However, in my defense, I've been using that name for far longer than Princess Bride has been around, so the Dread Pirate Roberts took it from me, if anything. And one of the first impressive things you're going to see about the customization here is that we can customize our flag. And with this, we have an incredible amount of options. Now, it might look simple, right? We can select the image on our flag and even change the color of that image. However, if we look up here, not only can we change the background symbol and color of it, but we also can select additional images to further customize the flag. So you can see you can really make a very, very customized flag. So let's put something together real quick like here. We're gonna go with a heart in the middle. Let's go with a gun pointing towards the center and a cutlass pointing the other way. And I think that we're gonna just kind of simplify the background. Let's go with, let's see here, a heart should be red. And maybe a gold background. Oh, that looks nice. I think a blue gun and a green cutlass work for me. So it's very nice that we can customize our flags so much, and this will actually be very visible throughout the game. So after we select that, we will choose our starting city. Now there are 4 factions, as you can see here by the key. We have England, Netherlands, Spain, and France. And it's not too important which one you start with, because you'll be all around the Caribbean and you'll have opportunities to grow your reputation with any of the factions. Right now we are set to Belize for Spain by default. I think I want to go over to the Netherlands, the Turk Islands, just because I'm a pirate and I want to be out in the ocean. No other reason. We can also influence which nation starts the strongest, and by cycling through this you'll see you'll actually change who owns what locations. But we're just going to leave that to none and just go for regular difficulty. And with that, we can jump right into the game. Here we are on the open ocean, but before we start making a name for ourselves, we should go over the basic user interface so that we know what we're looking at and what we're doing. Up here on the top left, We have the date. Of course, this is the date in-game, not in the real world. We have the current mission that we are tracking. We can change this once we have multiple missions. But for now, the only mission we have is the main campaign mission, which is to find and sink the fabled Spanish treasure fleet. Here we have our compass, which is also showing us the destination of our current mission. An arrow showing us the direction of the wind. And we have a bunch of tabs up here. We have our personal log. Look at that pretty mug. Giving us a summary of what we've done in this current game. And there will be some entries here for opinions from our crew, hopefully all positive. Now you see we have room for one captain. Other captain slots will open up as we level up. Our abilities will also open up as we level up. We'll go over that a little bit later. Our current fleet, we have room for one more ship, which again has to do with having one more captain. Now this can be a little deceptive because we can have multiple ships, but only the ones with captains in them will help us in combat. We have our hold, everything that we are currently carrying on our fleet. Now this will show us everything between all of our ships. So let's take a closer look at this real quick like. Here you'll see a picture of our crew next to certain items. Those will show you the things that your crew likes and are consuming to improve the morale. And as you can see, we can enable or disable their ability to consume various provisions. And when we toggle that, you'll see over here, it is added or removed from the list, assuming we have any in our hold. So bread, for example, we have none in our hold, and you can see none of them up here. All of these together generate an increase of 30 morale per day, while we're also losing 2 morale per day, largely due to how long it's been since we've divided booty, resulting in a net of 28 per day. Down here you'll see whatever item we are currently selected on. And one of the very nice things about this is that as we go to ports, it will record which port we found that has the highest price for that item and the lowest price. So if we want to actually run trade routes, this information will be very useful to us. And as you can see, there are quite a number of items that we could be carrying on us. And finally, we have our missions. Now this is divided into 2 pages. We have over here the quests that we have been given. In this case, the campaign quest is all that we have. And over here are the articles of capture. Now these are the promises that we have made to our crew. And we mentioned earlier that there have been a certain amount of days since last time we divided the booty. Every time we divide the booty, we get morale based on having succeeded in our promises. And we lose morale for not having done so. So generally, we want to try to make sure that we have accomplished all these things before we divide our booty. But sometimes you might find that you need to divide the booty without completing all of them. And that's okay. You can make more promises in the future. And speaking of morale, in the top right, you will see these little pictures here. And this is the general opinion that your crew has. And this is the bar. Right now, we're just above 50%. And you can see the bonus that we're getting for the mood that they're in. And of course above it is our money, which is in ducats. In the bottom right, you have your standard mini map. We click on this icon, we will go to the full map, and as you can see, we know where all of the Netherland locations are, because that's who we started with. But we've lost track of where everybody else is, and we will need to discover them. Another useful feature of this map is that if we switch from normal mode to Harbor Master, this will show us which Harbor Masters supply specialty items that we can use for upgrading our ship. Cycle one more time, you'll see that there are pirate hideouts throughout the map and their strength. Now, we don't actually know specifically where these are at the moment. We will need to engage with other pirate gangs, defeat them in battle, and they will reveal where their hideout is, and we can actually take them over and develop them and use them for fast travel. But that's it for our basic interface. Now, you'll notice I didn't show you this flag. This is the hoist the black flag. This is something that you normally don't want to do unless you are about to attack somebody. Because if we hoist the flag, we start flying the black sails. And that can get us attacked. So we want to keep those away until we want to go into combat. So let's run up to Turk Islands here. And since we are kind of favoring the Netherlands, we're going to mostly avoid attacking ships from the Netherlands. I'm going to pause it for a moment. Now this guy might not be a great target for us. And the reason why is because if you look at his summary, it has a picture of a cannon. That means this is a military fleet that is consisting of one ship in the convoy, and their total power is 287, which is slightly better than ours. Now I'm confident with our skill we could probably take this guy down, but I think we're going to find a different target instead. But while we're here, we are going to dock with the Turk Islands so that we can go over the interface. First, we can go over to the governor. This is mostly how we will increase our reputation with any given faction. So you can see here we are neutral with the Netherlands, and we can talk to the governor and take missions from him. Each mission has a difficulty. This one is very easy. We have an easy one and one that is normal. Let's take a look at this bounty here. The governor is visibly tense. His white wig is behind him, draped over the back of the chair. Those cursed seagulls, come inside and take a seat. This is important. Sebastian Michael is not only disrupting our trade routes, it also dares to get in the way of our naval fleets. You usually find the convoy between San Juan and Baracoa. Sail out there and send those good-for-nothings to the bottom of the sea. So let's accept this mission. And this little pop-up here, this is our first mate. And if we look at our missions tab, you see we now have our campaign and we have a mission for the Netherlands. If we select that mission, we can follow it. And we'll take a look at that when we get back out to sea. But let's look at the rest of the island. The tavern is where you're probably going to spend most of your time. Here's where we can divide our booty. If we click on that, you'll see we have the option to divide the booty. And if we click on that as well, it'll show you the net change if we decide to divide the booty now. Now we can back out of it, and it's what we're going to do, but as you can see, we have not completed the promises that we made our crew. So let's back out of that. Buying around allows us to restock our crew. Right now we are at crew 50 of 50, so that's unnecessary. And here you will see patrons who are willing to pay us to do various things for them. And similarly to the governor, you'll see that there are skulls here showing the difficulty of the quest. But this guy here has an icon for a captain. So when you find these guys, which they are not very common, you will have the opportunity to bring them into your crew. As we showed earlier when we looked at our captains, we have room for one captain at our level. Unfortunately, this guy is not very picky. All we have to do is buy him a beer. He'll complain about how he's lost his ship, which you will find strange in a moment when you notice that he brings his own ship to the fleet. But we have the option to go ahead and bring him into our crew, which is what we're going to do.
A new face, and such a splendid one.
And he's going to double the strength of our fleet. Next, we're going to go over to the market. As we discussed before, all products have a low price and a high price. And at this port, you can see what the current price is. Now, these prices can be modified based on your reputation, for good or for bad, with the faction of the location. And we can see how many of that good we have on our ship and how much of them are for sale at this port. Not all things will be for sale necessarily at each port. But if we want to purchase an item, we can just drag it along. If we wanted to sell an item, we can drag it back. However, we are fine with what we have currently. You can can see our cargo space, which has grown considerably because we have brought a new ship in. And we're just going to leave the marketplace, take a look at the harbor. Now, Turk's Island's harbor does not have anything for sale, but in all harbors we can come here and go to maintenance, and if any of our ships are damaged, we will be able to repair them. And if we want, we can repaint our ship. Green is my favorite color, so I'm going to go ahead and repaint the ship. It is free.
Good work. Now we can hunt even bigger fish.
And the other brig, captained by Seamus Walsh, let's give him, how about blue? That looks good. He looks like a blue person. Now, as I mentioned before, we can have more ships than we have captains, which are good for carrying more cargo, but if they have crew on them, they will consume more provisions. So it's something to consider whether or not you won't be dragging a bunch of extra ships with you. You'll notice there is no button here for buying a new ship. That's because we are pirates and we take ships from the less well-prepared. If we had extra ships, we would have the ability to sell them, as well as we can sell ships that we are currently using. Usually not a good idea. We can also see a summary of the statistics of a ship, such as its max speed, which will be how far we can move in combat. Combat in this game is tactical, so it is turn-based, which we will see soon. Its maneuverability, how quickly it can turn. The amount of armor plating it has on all of its sides. How many hit points it has on its hull, which affects when it gets sunk. If you run out of those, you're in trouble. The maximum and current amount of crew, its action points, which we'll go over later, its boarding strength, which affects if you are boarding a ship, and its cargo capacity. Now let's cast off and find our first victim. Nope. And let's actually start off. You can see we are now tracking our new quest. Which will have a fleet that is sailing between these two ports. Now we don't know exactly where they're at, but if we just get ourselves down in this region, we should be able to catch them going between the ports. And I think that'll probably make for a very good first target for us. So let's get to sailing. And while we're sailing, we can enjoy the beautiful scenery. As you can see, the islands look wonderful. They've done a beautiful job of the ocean. Now we're over deep ocean, so we can't see anything below it. But sometimes we will see manta rays, we will see schools of fish, sometimes we'll even see whales. So let's work our way down towards those islands. Now that ship would be an easy target for us, and it's flying the English flag. But I don't feel like running him down. I want to get over here so that we have a chance of finding that ship. And as we're looking at the wind direction, I think we're going to turn the wind to our back. Oh, there was a whale right there. Now, we know this is not the ship. Now, we know that is not the fleet that we're looking for because there's not an icon over it. Now, I've paused it while we are passing by the English port of Isabella. And one thing I wanted to point out while we're here is that next to the flag, there are no symbols. If the harbor master here sold any upgrades for our ship, there would be a symbol here indicating it. So it's a quick way for us to tell what's for sale in the harbor in case we are looking for something specific that we want to upgrade our ship with. Now, as we're passing this ship, I want to point out what we're looking for when we look at a fleet. Now, under the English flag, we can see the picture of a bag, which means this is a merchant fleet. We see a 1. That indicates that there is only one ship in the fleet, and the 246 is the strength of that fleet. Now, if this was the fleet that we were looking for our mission, there would be a little star over it, which we will see once we locate the fleet we are looking for. Now, this would be a very easy target for us, but we're going to keep on going. Oh, and we have a pirate fleet coming for us. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it looks like our first fight is going to be against a fellow pirate. And I'm going to slow down because we can take this guy. So I'm going to slow down a lot because he seems to be slow. Pirates will not be shy about attacking us. Now on the screen we can see a summary of the fight ahead of us. Here we have an enemy brig and the strength of that ship. We have an assessment of our strength versus theirs and the likelihood that we're going to win this combat. Now, if we had initiated this combat, we would have a third option down here to leave the combat and leave them alone. We don't have that because we were attacked. We can try to intimidate them, which we'd have a fair chance of succeeding because we are stronger than them, or we can just fight them. And of course, we're going to fight them.
We'll show them how it's done.
Now, since the opponent initiated the fight, they will get the first move. Now we can go over tactical combat for Tortuga. Now our ships are facing away from them because this was the relative direction that we were in when the combat was initiated. Also, one of the nice things is that the surrounding area that we were in when we were attacked is part of the tactical field. These are not just randomly generated landscapes. They will change based on where we're actually at where the fight starts. Now these hexes represent how far we can sail, and as you can see, it shows the direction and the heading that our ship will be in if we select a particular hex. Now you can only select one hex, you can't move and then move again, so you want to make sure before you click on a hex that that's where you're wanting to go for this turn. We don't have any abilities that we currently can activate. If we were close enough to the opponent's ship to get in range, we would be able to declare ahead of time they want to try to board them, but they are too far away. And these are the amount of action points that we have to spend every turn. Action points are going to be consumed by abilities and attacks. They will not be consumed by movement. So it'll be free for us to turn around and start heading towards our opponent. And we will go over these bars in just a moment once we start to get into combat. This was our other captain. We can end turn for him.
Speed ahead.
And then we're going to bring our own guy around as well. And end turn. Alright, he has fired upon us, and you saw an 11 with a symbol rising. That's the amount of damage that was done to our armor on that side of the ship. Now, as we move it closer into combat, we'll go over the ship interface. Now, if you look at the enemy ship, above the ship you will see 4 yellow dashes, one of which is highlighted. These represent the 4 sides of the ship and the armor plating on each side. The one that's glowing is the one that we would be firing upon if we were to travel to the location that we have chosen for our ship. In the bottom left corner, you can see the cannon on the starboard side is highlighted. That's telling us that's the cannon that will fire. Now also, if we look at where we're going, you'll see different shades of gray in the hexes, which represent the range of our cannons and the optimal target area. So if you can get them in the bright area, you have a better chance of landing a good shot. So let's pull up there. We're going to select enter shoot mode. And now we can go over the rest of the interface here. As you can see, we have the same layout on the opponent's ship as we do on ours. This represents the armor on all 4 sides. And as we do damage to the armor, these will be stripped away. And then the amount of hull points that they have, as we do hull damage, this will drain out. We also can see the maximum and minimum amount of movement that they're going to have in their next round, the condition of their sails, because we can do damage to their sails, and how many crew member they have alive on their ship currently. Below, we can select what kind of shot that we want to fire at them. Iron balls will do damage to the armor and eventually the hull when there is no armor left. Grape shot will do damage to the crew. However, grape shot is completely nullified if there's any armor in the way, so you'll need to strip the armor before you start firing grape shot if you're trying to kill the crew for the purposes of boarding. And then we have chain shot, which will damage the sails and reduce the movement of the ship. For now, we just want to do damage. Here we can see the hit probability and the range of damage. So let's open fire. That was not a very good shot. We only did 6 damage to their rear armor. As you can see in the top right, there is a bar missing from the rear armor on the bottom. And also that cost us an action point. Now we have 1 action point left. All action points replenish at the beginning of the next turn. And this captain has the ability to taunt an opponent that is nearby. So if we click on that, we can execute and taunt him. You can see that has a cooldown of 5 turns. That will cause him to want to attack this ship. And when we turn, it will cycle to our flagship. On our flagship, you can see we took damage to the front armor. We have 8 left of the 19. So we're going to move up and we're going to position ourselves, find a good solution. Now, as you see, if we fire from here, we're going to hit a different facing of the armor. We can tell that by looking at the yellow dashes above the enemy ship. The reddish-orange dashes, of course, represent the hull integrity. If we want, we can try to move around and see if we can find a way to attack the same side as our other ship did. Doesn't look like we're going to have a good spot we can do that from. Also, if we look at the hexes, you'll see the skull here. That's representing the potential to have a collision. It doesn't mean you're actually going to have one. In this case, it's saying that we could run into our other ship. However, we wouldn't because our other ship will move before we move again. But there's no reason for us to sail over there because we can't actually hit our opponent. But we're going to sail over here because this looks like a good shot that's in our optimal zone for our port side cannons. And we are going to fire and damage his armor. 20 damage to the armor. That was a nice shot. And we're going to end and allow him to take his turn. Now, if we look at our ship summary, you'll see that the cannons that we fired last round are still busy reloading. Now, often we will have to fire them when they're not fully reloaded. That's fine. Don't worry about it. But if you have the option of positioning your ship so that you can fire more loaded or fully loaded cannons, usually that is the better choice because you can do more damage. In this case, we can absolutely do that. Unfortunately, we will be hitting yet another full armor side, but we're going to wear this guy down. $18 damage. That redeemed that captain a little bit more. A lot better than the 6 damage he did last time. Now, before we end our turn, I also want to point out that above our ship are 4 arrows. This represents how fast this ship is moving. Every turn, the more hexes that you sail through, the faster your ship is moving. This represents that your ship is always in motion, and so it's harder for the ship to slow down if you're not wanting to go very far. This is going to impact your minimum movement as well as your maximum movement in your next round. So as you see on our current ship, we have to move at least 4 hexes and no greater than 8. Can be modified if we're running into wind. So we're going to see if we can circle around him. This is going to give us the ability to fire our starboard side cannons. And it's going to finally allow us to concentrate fire on damaged armor. Now that was a very good shot. As you see, we stripped away the rest of his armor. We did 10 damage to his hull, killed 4 members of his crew, and actually did damage to his sails. This guy's not looking too good. As you see, he sailed between us and was able to fire to both sides. Something we can do as well when we're fighting multiple opponents. He didn't do a whole lot of damage, however, because some of his cannons would have still been in the process of reloading from his previous shots. Now, this ship is moving pretty fast, so we're going to have to move out a little bit. And it looks like we're going to have to use one of our partially loaded cannons. That's all right. I will also point out that you can do friendly fire damage. So if I sailed all the way around back here to use my full cannons and tried to fire at the opponent, we're going to hit our other ship as well. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. But I think in this case, we're not going to risk it. Three damage. That was terrible. Not only did we not land a full shot, but we had fired a partially loaded cannon. As you can see, it really affected our damage output. Oh, terrible shot. Most of it missed. Very nice. 8 damage on his hull. Only 2 damage? Oh, that is not good. And that's all she wrote. That'll teach him a lesson for attacking us.
A history-making triumph.
So here we have a summary from our combat. These are how many ships that we sunk, all of them in this case, and how many we boarded if we were looking to capture a ship. We didn't lose any ships or any crew, and this is all the loot that we pulled out of the ocean after sinking his ship, as well as the gold. Now we have the option to inspect the loot. This is not necessary unless we are out of cargo space and need to change which cargo was looted. As long as we have the cargo space, we will automatically loot everything. Alright, now if we look at our missions, you'll see that we have now sunk 1 ship, and we have sunk 1 out of 2 sea battles. So let's see if we can find the fleet that our mission has sent us after. I'm going to pause it as we approach San Juan, still looking for our target. And I wanted to point out that earlier I mentioned that above another port, next to the flag, there was no symbol. In this case, we have a symbol showing us that there are upgrades available in this Harbor Master, and that we can dock there and upgrade our ships. So let's pull in and take a look real quick at the kind of items that we might have available.
It would be a shame if someone were to raid this.
It seems that San Juan has a pirate dealer. Very nice. Different ports have different upgrades, and each upgrade requires a specific type of slot to be available. On our starting brig, we have 2 open offensive spots, 2 open defensive spots, and no support spots. We also have a max weight capacity, which may limit the items that we have installed on our ship. Now, if we look at these real quick, like the grappling hook, which increases the chance of successfully boarding a ship. Now, we will look at boarding a ship here in a bit, but I will mention that successfully boarding a ship can be very challenging. So grappling hook's not a bad upgrade to have. Armor plating is extremely useful. This adds raw armor to the sides of your ship beyond the armor plating that it already has. Another benefit to armor is that it automatically repairs between fights. You don't have to go into a port to repair it. You only have to pull into a port if you need to repair hull damage. So these are very useful. We're going to go ahead and select that, and you see it's going to cost us a pretty penny. We did make a decent amount of cash off of the pirate that we sunk. Here we have available a fireboat. They take a support slot, which we do not have available to us. A keg of rum, also requiring a support slot and can be used to improve morale. And sabers, which increase your crew's capability once they've actually boarded another ship. Additionally, you'll see here, grayed out, the Pirate Dealer 2. This is one of the benefits you get from improving factions. If we had access to Pirate Dealer 2, we would have additional ship upgrades we could purchase, as well as better versions of the lower tier ones. But we're going to purchase this because this is very nice to have. And we're going to cycle over to our other ship, and we're going to put armor plating on there as well. And we're going to pull out a port, and we're going to continue our search for our target. This is one of the ports that they are trading with, so we should run into them pretty soon. Alright, so I have found our bounty target, and by found, I kind of just parked outside the port because I knew he was going to come along, and he was wily. He was on a big round circuit. He wasn't just bouncing back and forth, so I'm glad I parked out here. But I paused it because I wanted to show you that unlike other fleets, since this is the fleet that we're after, or a fleet of interest, there's a skull with a star on it. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a fleet that we're after. You will run into other situations where there are fleets of interest related to your quests. But in this case, with the little one next to it, this is the guy that we are after. And as you can see, he is a merchant fleet, which is the little bag. And then the 2 next to the ship shows that there are 2 ships in the fleet. And his overall strength is 414. Now, this is a merchant. I'm not too concerned about him, and we have the enhanced armor. But we still need to be careful when we go into combat because, well, they can get a lucky shot in. I'm going to let him dock in a port here, and then we're going to chase him down. Full speed ahead. Come on, pick up speed. He is a quick bugger. And now that we're farther away from the dock, we're going to hoist the black flag, which will actually scare nearby opponents. He doesn't see us yet. He's going to, because he's going to run out of land and he's going to have to come around, and we're going to head him off. Alright, and on our summary here, we can see that he has 2 schooners at 204 and 210 strength. Again, these are merchants, but be careful not to underestimate your opponents.
Wake up! There's work to do!
Now, you've seen most of the basics of combat, so I'm going to jump ahead here, see if we can get the opportunity to show you another feature. That guy's having a bad day. There goes our first target. Alright, so that shot stripped all of his armor from his port side. Now that's important. I think what we need to do is we need to be a little careful here, a little cautious. Pull this ship out of his range. And what we're going to do to make sure he's out of range is we're going to get this guy a nice clean shot of chain shot. 14% damage to his sails, so that should slow him down a bit. Now, what we want to do is we want to get lined up with the side of this opponent that has no armor, and it's important he has no armor on this side. As you saw, the chain shot didn't care about armor. However, grape shot on our opponent who has 40 crew members does care about the armor. He lost 13 crew. That's going to significantly reduce his ability to reload his cannon and thus reduce the amount of damage he can do. It's also going to reduce his ability to defend against a boarding party. Also, if we look at the opponent in the top right, you'll see the debuffs due to the damage that he's received. His sails are torn, giving him a -2 movement, and the captain is injured, so if he had any captain skills, they wouldn't be able to activate them. We are slowly but surely crippling this ship. Oh, 13 crew, that was devastating. Now, unfortunately, we cannot get a firing solution on the side with no armor, but he's running out of crew, so what we're going to do is we're going to start trying to board him. Now, boarding usually takes a few attempts to successfully latch on. We select boarding before we move. We select the ship we want to board. Above it, you see, we'll have between 4 and 32% chance depending on where our ship is when we try to board him. So if we click on him once, by default, it will choose the best location to try to board. And since our ship has been moving pretty fast, we have a low percentage. But this will help slow down our ship and it will make it easier on subsequent turns to attempt to board if we do not succeed. Oh, we got it on the first try. Now, since our other ship has already moved, this is the end of the round, and all ships that have successfully boarded will contribute to the attempt to take over the ship. Now, when we are boarding a ship, we'll see how much control we have of the ship, how much is left to go, how many crew members we have, and the morale of our crew. As you can see, we have a distinct advantage over our opponent. And we have options for how aggressive we want to go. And this is going to affect how many crew we're going to lose and how it can impact our morale, but also the percentage chance of success. Now, there's no real reason for us not to just do our best option here. Our highest chance of success option here. As you can see, we gained 5%. Also, their ship is now stuck in place because they are fighting off a boarding party. That means our other ship that was wounded is no longer in danger of being attacked by this ship. We gained another 9%. We killed 6 crew, reduced their morale by 18. Our morale went up because we are seeing success. And there we go, we've won the fight. So, assuming we want to capture the ship, which we do, we want to select this option to take over ships. This will give us a list of all the ships that we successfully boarded and their stats. We'll go ahead and select that to join our fleet and confirm. Now that has increased our max cargo. Again, we don't have a captain to command it in combat, but it can still be part of our fleet. That also means that we have completed our mission. We need to go back to the Turk Islands, as well as we have now completed all of our articles of capture, so we can divide our booty without any repercussions. So we're going to head back to Turk Islands and turn all of these in. So we are back at the Turks Islands, and first we're going to go visit the governor. We're going to have a conversation with him, and we are going to be rewarded for completing his mission. You can see our reputation went up with the faction. We got some gold and we got some experience. That's going to help level our captain, which leads us to going to the tavern And we are going to finally divide the booty and make our crew happy, which will also allow us to level up. Also on this screen, you can see a summary of what we've done since the last time that we divided booty. We raided 2 convoys, captured a ship, plundered 79 barrels of wares, and obtained over 11,000 gold. Now, the 11,000 gold is also including the reward for the governor's quest. That's not just loot. So let's divide the plunder. You can see they are very happy about all these being successful, which is already putting us up 45% crew approval. Now we need to determine how much we want to give them in gold. And all we need to do is just drag this along. You can see how much the approval percentage is going up. And this is going to affect not only the benefits we have from having a high morale crew, but it's also going to reduce the amount of promises that we need to make for the next raiding session. So I'm going to be fairly generous because we have a decent amount of money on us anyway. This should, 100%. We don't need to go that high. Let's put the crew at 80%. That's very generous. And continue. We get a summary of what we're getting our experience points from, and that we have a 50% or higher crew, meaning that we have fewer promises we need to make. Now all of our experience points will unlock our skills. Here is another area where I feel the game really shined, because there are a ton of abilities to choose from. We click here. As you can see, our captain can learn a lot of things. And not only can you pick up new abilities, but each ability has ranks within it that we can also upgrade. So what we are doing first is we are selecting an ability to fill this slot. You can see we have 2 skill points. That is not the same as abilities. The skill points will be spent on ranking up the ability that we choose, and the ability will come with 1 rank already in it. There are many combinations of abilities that you can select that synergize well together. If you want to do some kind of custom build, like making a tanky ship that taunts the opponent, brings them into your heavy but short-range cannons, or if you want to build maybe a sniper strategy where you have long-range cannons that pierce armor and devastate from safe distance. There are also a number of passive abilities. Beloved Ship, for one, is very nice. We're going to click on that, and until we have continued, we can undo that selection. So if you just want to click on it to look at it in this interface, this is another thing you can do. Or if you accidentally clicked on something, you can always undo it until you have continued on. And you can see the Beloved Ship is primarily designed around reducing overall damage, and this is a passive ability, so it doesn't require ability points. There's no cooldown. Very nice ability indeed. Now we're not going to go over all of the abilities. If you'd like to pause the video, you can look at the names and the summaries of all of the abilities that are available. Scroll down here so you can see the rest of them. Beloved Ship was the bottom one on the previous screen. One more. Now for me, I think that early on we have a couple of abilities that I find to be very useful. Armor Piercer, you just can't go wrong with. This ability allows you to ignore armor. Now, it is an activated ability, takes the cost of a couple of ability points, and you can only use it a limited number of times in a battle. The other drawback is that since you're not damaging armor, if you have multiple ships focusing fire on the same opponent, your other ships still have to get through the armor. But with some high-powered cannons, you will find that you can one-shot opponents and not have to worry about it. So we're going to grab that. Next, we're going to pick up a passive that helps us on the overworld. The Master of the Seas, which increases our speed when we're on the overworld, which makes it easier for us to run down those fast merchants. And since we have a couple of skill points, we're going to sink one into armor plating to give us an additional shot per combat. The next level, as you can see, would cause that shot to critically hit, which is very nice. But I want to put one here to speed up our convoy a little bit more. Now when we continue, we have to make promises to our crew. This is what we saw before, where we had promises in place. And as you can see, anytime we don't make a promise, we're going to get an automatic negative. We also get negatives if we fail on any promise. So we don't want to overpromise beyond what we think that we can achieve, or what we think maybe would take us too long to do before we have to divide our loot again. And one of the things I would caution against picking up is a new captain. Because remember, you only gain experience points when you divide loot, and you can only get a new captain once you level up. Here you can see we can't get another captain until level 5, which means we can't level up until the next time we divide loot. If we promised a new captain, we're going to fail this one because we can't get a new captain. So those are things to keep in mind. But as you can see, there are a number of promises we can make. These promises will become more difficult to achieve as we rank up. But for the most part, if you are careful, they're not too terribly difficult to handle. Sink 5 ships? We're pirates. We're going to be sinking ships anyway. Complete a mission? Super simple. We want to do that anyway. Plunder towns? Well, maybe that's something we'll do in a different video. Accumulating booty? This is always an easy one because, again, the booty not only comes from sinking ships, but from completing missions. And dividing loot, we are promising that we will give at least 36,000 in this case across the entire crew. I would say it's maybe a little early for us to be promising that. We're not exactly that rich. But winning 4 sea battles, definitely simple. And ducats after sea battles will make at least 4,000 off of winning sea battles. As you can see, we're already at 100%. So it's not really necessary for us to be making any more promises. Let's go ahead and confirm. Once we click our cast off, we are committing to all of our choices. And those are the basics. And I think a very good first look at Tortuga. So if you think this is a game that you would be interested in, it's available on the PlayStation, the Xbox, and is currently an Epic Games exclusive for PC. And if you're still undecided and you want to see more, we will be live streaming a complete playthrough of this game because I am thoroughly enjoying it. So if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like it. If you want to see more reviews or playthroughs of games, consider subscribing. And hopefully I'll see you on the live stream here on YouTube of Tortuga, A Pirate's Tale.